So yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, obviously football season's over, so I've been trying to wonder how you kind of get your content going throughout the summer. How do you keep it going? And the obvious way of that is transfers. Now, I definitely don't want to be a something that's like a news thing that's like trying to break transfers or necessarily like reacting to transfers like all the time. Of course, I'll do that when it feels right and it feels necessary, but like I say, I was just trying to come at it from different angles, change the content game up a little bit, and kind of just give my perspective and maybe some different ways with some different ideas. So I'm not going to spend too long on the intro, but one book I have been reading, and the one behind on this, but it's the How to Win the Premier League, Ian Graham's book from the guy that was at Liverpool. So obviously it has a deeper interest to me, and I'm about 70. I am 75 pages in, that's where I'm at, and yeah, I keep picking it up, and I'm not a big reader, and it's been really interesting, and the timing of doing it, I purposely wanted to read that and understand a bit more deeper and a bit more into it, like how teams are doing things these days, because we all know the data stuff is there. It's not going anywhere. And, how I feel about it is I think there's a lot of stuff you can kind of do without, but I also think that you should always take these things and bring them in. If anyone's seen Moneyball, they know the Liverpool owners kind of went down that route from the Oakland days and tried to get the guys in from the Boston to the Boston Red Sox and go through all that. If you've not seen the movie, by the way, it's brilliant. I've never read the book. Maybe I should. And that kind of whole concept towards this kind of book in here, and to bring the data into football. And as they say in the movie, first guy through the wall is always going to get bloody, and not everything goes perfect. So it's been really cool reading that. But like I say, it's given me a different insight into the transfers. Not massively, a lot of stuff that I would think about myself anyway and talk about with my friends in the pubs and stuff. But yeah, it's given me an interesting insight. So I kind of wanted to do a little video on the kind of main transfers so far that are either happening or happened at the moment. Really revolving around the Premier League, to be honest with you, as that's going to kind of be the main area and the main league that I know the most about and the one that I'm most intrigued in. So I think we start with Liverpool because they're currently in talks with Leverkusen and Florian Wirtz, for that fee over 100 million. So it's a big fee. I'm excited by it because of the type of quality the player is. He's only just turned 22 years old. He's young. He's one of the highest rated young players out there in the world that I'm sure anyone would be in for if they could get him. So it's exciting that Liverpool are in that mix for him. With regards to where he's going to play, I think he's going to come in and be that kind of Firmino spearhead of the attack, top of the diamond, however you want to play it in the shape. But if you look at how Slot used all his forwards this season, he had Diaz dropping in a lot through the middle when he played him. He had Jota doing the same. Nunes can't really do that, but he was asking Nunes to do that. So I think he wants someone that's going to come in there and do that. I don't think Liverpool are going to go for like Isaac down the middle. I would be surprised if they are anyway, especially if this is going to be the buy. So I think it's going to be that kind of Roberto Firmino, attacking midfielder in there almost. And your two wide guys are really the ones that are going to be getting the goals. So, you want a creative player in there. And the game does go through Mohamed Salah at the moment, which is the only kind of concept in terms of that maybe doesn't work, because what I'm saying is you're making Flirts be the guy that comes in, drops the ball and gets it. But Liverpool have got to still plan ahead for when Salah is going to leave in the next 2 years, and also you just never know what's going to happen. There could be a dip off in form, and that also may take the onus off him in terms of creativity and allow him even more time and space to get in the areas that he wants to get into and get some more goals. So I'm excited about it, and I think a lot of people that watch him will say he kind of drifts over kind of to the left-hand side, not like he's in a winger or anything like that. And how would that fit Liverpool? I don't see us doing that with him. I think we've offered him a different type of role, because I just don't see us selling for the likes of like Luis Diaz, who I know Barcelona have said that they're interested in. We've said no sale. There's always a price for somebody, but I think he likes Diaz off that side. He likes Gakpo off that side. I think that's boxed down for the season. He's going to run with those two guys, and then maybe come next season see what happens with Diaz and Gakpo. So I just don't see Wirtz, if we sign him, kind of playing over the left hand side like that. So I do think he's going to have to be more central. With the way the Liverpool squad's made up. Maybe with a view in a year or two, if you adapt the team a little bit, you move him over there if you want to. But again, he's not like a winger. He's that guy that likes to play in the pockets and pick the ball up and go from there. So I think if we just look at numbers, I just talked about the statistics in the Ian Graham book. Numbers for me, the most important ones always are as a fan and we're as a coach and even as a player. is if you're an attacking player, it's how many goals and assists you bring into the team. There's loads of different things that you can bring. They talk about in that book about Firmino, about how he can play, and he could have played in 3 different positions, and that actually put a lot of teams off because it was like, well, where's his best position? But Liverpool deemed that, okay, maybe 10 is his best position, dropping in there as that kind of false 9, but if we need to, he can play off the left, he can play off the right, and we're still going to get a good player, and he gives value to all of that. So there's obviously other things that come with it than just goals and assists, don't get me wrong, but I want to just kind of take this video to kind of look at just the raw numbers quickly about all these transfers that we're looking at. So he's played 31 games in the Bundesliga this season, he scored 10 goals and got 13 assists. That's double figures on both of those. If I'm signing someone for a plus 100 million and he's playing in that area, I'm probably wanting to be hitting that, absolutely no question. So I think that's absolutely acceptable. He plays 9 games in the Champions League, he scores 6 goals, and he gets 1 assist. He gets an assist in the Pokal Cup, if that's how I say it. So in a total, he's played 45 games this season. He's got 16 goals, and 15 assists. I'm taking that. That's high level double figures. We're hitting up into 20 with both numbers. I think for 100 plus million, that's what you're wanting to look to hit. Absolutely. If not, one of them's got to fluctuate extremely higher than the other, right? 20 assists, 8 goals. Cool. We'll still take that, or vice versa. 20 goals, 8 assists, we'll take that. So they're in around the numbers that I think, you know, you want to be hitting if you're buying a player of that nature. And again, reading this book and looking how you know, how meticulous Liverpool are in and how they want to go about it and who they're going to buy and that kind of whole data model. And the really cool thing about it is he's really adamant in the book. Everybody still has to agree. If the data guys put someone forward and, you know, Michael Edwards isn't sure and the scouting staff's not sure and the manager's not sure, then it's a no-go. What they're trying to get to is everyone to come to an agreement, obviously, and they feel if everyone comes to an agreement, then there's less chance of that transfer failing because, you know, scouts are seeing it that way. The data guys are saying, yeah. The manager's like, yeah, I like him. And then Michael Edwards, who, you know, has got his kind of own history about looking at players and stuff. It's really cool how he kind of looks at the game, has his opinion on it. And if they all tick those boxes, you know, touch wood, obviously it doesn't play into psychology and how they're going to fit into the culture of the club and everything like that. But there's less likely of it to fail. So let's just have a look at Wirtz's numbers in the season before that. Obviously, Leverkusen do win the league there. He's played 32 Bundesliga games, 11 goals and 12 assists. He then gets 4 in the Europa League, 4 goals, 4 assists as well in the Europa League, 3 goals in the Cup, 4 goals in the Cup. So again, he's hitting those numbers of 18 goals the season before and 20 assists. That's exactly what I just said. I mean, that's even higher than what he hit this season. I think he might have had a little bit of injuries. Not too sure. So, you know, if you look at those last 2 seasons of data and you're hoping he's going to improve and he's 22 and he's showing it in the Bundesliga, he's showing it in the Champions League, he's showing it in Europe, then you're going to whack that 100 million down for him. So really excited. I think, you know, the longer it goes on, the more nervous you get because Liverpool have been stung with all these types of deals in the past, you know, like Caicedo and guys like that where they go big in for money. But, you know, it feels like with the kind of the nerds, the Michael Edwards and stuff back like that, they'll try and get it in, and I don't think it would be this public if they weren't already in. It'll just be finer details, a lot of money. There's rumours that they want a couple of players off us, maybe an Elliot or something like that in exchange. So there's a lot that goes into it. So fingers crossed over the kind of next week or so from a Liverpool point of view, they kind of get that over the line. But Wirtz, from a statistical point of view of what he's going to bring from the eye test, we all know, if you've seen him and you watched him play, you would say, yeah, a lot of money. He's going to have to come in and hit the ground running, absolutely. You know, there's going to be a lot of eyes on him for that. And also, how did Liverpool handle having that big money signing, probably the biggest signing of the transfer window? It's not something they usually do. Spent money on Van Dijk and Alisson when it was needed. And of course, people kind of gawked at those at the time. Most expensive for a keeper, most expensive for a centre-back. But look at how they've worked out. So Liverpool will be hoping that they've done their due diligence and research into this. Just quickly, moving through Liverpool very quickly. Obviously, you know, we've signed Frimpong. I put a video out on him. I'm excited about it. You know, he's 24, going to be 25 in December. So he's young, he's hungry, he's got a lot of energy. Again, Leverkusen, we know how Alonso played. He's going to be attacking and he's going to be creative and getting the mix on that right hand side and just provide a bit of pace up there as well, because yes, Salah's fast, but he's not that electric quick that he used to be. So just again, quick stats, not really as important for Frimpong if he's going to be right back and you expect Salah to still kind of hug that touchline, maybe tuck in a little bit more. But you know, Frimpong gets 5 assists last season and he gets 6 goals in the league. He gets 5 assists in the Champions League, which is decent, and 1 assist in the Cup, so a total of 5 goals. He's getting double figure numbers and assists. I think that's what Liverpool are going to be looking from for the fullbacks. Can you really add numbers again when that season when Trent and Robbo are just absolutely hammering it? I think they're going to be going back to that with those wingers. Can you get up and involved and basically add 2 extra players into the mix when you're attacking and just overwhelm the team and guys that have absolute quality? I've not had a look at Frimpong this season before when Leverkusen actually did really well and went on the league, so it'll be interesting to see how those stats go if the internet wants to work and the computer wants to bring it up. Yeah, so what does he do? He has 31 games. He gets 9 goals, 9 assists in the league, 3 goals in the Europa League, 2 goals in the Cup, 3 assists in the Cup. So a total of 47 games, 14 assists, 14 goals, should I say, and 12 assists. High numbers, and Liverpool will be looking at that and seeing that he can definitely add something into the team. On the other side, obviously, the other guy that's being linked to Liverpool is Kerkez from Bournemouth, who just eye test again, obviously seen a lot of him in the Premier League, really like. He has that energy, wants to get up and down. That's what Liverpool are going to want from their fullbacks. You need to be able to go forward, you need to be able to defend. It's high intensity, it's high pressure. And again, 21 years old, going to turn 22 in November. Hell of an age, loads of areas to improve. Bournemouth, want to play that high energy and high pressure, so he already gets what's going to happen. It feels like a seamless fit if Liverpool can get that over the line. This season he's played 38 games in the league, 2 assists and 6 goals. So 6 assists in the league, couple of goals there from him in Bournemouth. I mean, again, going to be expecting to get around those numbers of assists. I think he'll be asked to be another attacker and to be up there. Maybe he's that kind of like to build up with a back 3. Maybe it's going to be Konate, Van Dijk and him. Maybe he's like a 3, but he likes to get forwards and he's got those energies. So I can just see Slot kind of wanting him to progress and go forwards with it. So again, another exciting one for Liverpool, and the stats and everything, look like they're really impressive for him, and I'm sure that they'll be looking at all that type of stuff. In terms of the outgoings, one interesting one is obviously been Luis Diaz. He's been linked to Barcelona like every single season, and we totally get it, South Americans and that connection, and it makes sense, and it seems like Barca do want him. So Liverpool have apparently come out and said today, he's not for sale. I don't think Liverpool will be looking to sell him. I think they're going to go for another year with him and Gakpo off the left and play that way. But, never say never. Everyone's got a price if Barcelona want to pay it. I don't know what the financial situation is. They've not been great. So we could go, and especially if he maybe says, I do really want to go. I think he's got 2 years left on his contract. I think there's an option to extend that by a year. It'll be 30 come the end of the contract. So, there's a possibility for Liverpool to look to sell him. But I absolutely love Luis Diaz. Again, I think we can look at numbers and all that type of stuff, which his numbers actually impress me more. He's got more than I thought he did this season. So Beans and Ali, if you listen to this, man, this will be an interesting one for you after we were chatting about Diaz. So 36 Premier League games this season, he scored 13 goals and he got 7 assists. Way more than I thought he did. Total contribution of 20 there in the league. Off your left-hand sided player, he also played down the middle. I think they're about the numbers I'm wanting Luis Diaz to hit. Yeah, a little bit higher, but I honestly expected lower. I expected to see maybe just shy of double figures in goals, maybe around about that in assists. So, impressive. It's another 3 goals in the Champions League and assist in the Champions League as well. So this season, in a total of 50 games, he gets 17 goals and 8 assists. Like them overall to be a little higher, but again, it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Actually, again, haven't looked at Diaz's kind of stats last season to see how he did there too. So it's 37 games in the league. He gets 8 goals and 6 assists. In the Europa, he gets 3 goals and 1 assist. So it's a total of 13 goals and 7 assists. So yeah, he's in and around that number. That kind of seems to be where it is. And yeah, I'd like them to go up, but I think that, again, talking about other things that matter, if you watch the games, the effort and the energy that he has to also defend and just kind of be about it and just constantly be running at players and be that winger that, we hope that we're going to start to see more of again in the future, that just wants to get the ball and run at people. So that is a quality as well that adds to the team that doesn't necessarily speak in the stats. So personally, for me, I wouldn't be selling Diaz this summer. Obviously, if an offer comes in that's acceptable, then yeah, I mean, everyone's got their price, but I'd be looking to keep Luis Diaz, to be honest. Quick shout out to Kelleher, been an unreal number 2. Obviously now gone to Brentford. I think it's about 13 million up front, with it rising to maybe 18 million depending on what happens. But good luck to him. He deserves to be a first choice keeper, and I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on that. Take a little breath, have a little sip of Iron Brew here, do like a little rant. So I think the next big ones. And this, I always feel like, am I just going on about the same things all the time? But these for me are the biggest things at the moment. So the next team is Man United. We know they've signed Cunha for roughly about 62 million. A good signing, Mateus Cunha. I think there have been a lot of teams looking at him this season and wanting to try and get him. I think he had a hell of a season at Wolves. And yeah, do I think it's a good signing for Manchester United? Absolutely, I do. I mean, I think the whole squad basically needs improved, right? And I think that is absolutely an improvement. My only thing would be it's a lot of money. I'm intrigued that nobody else seemed to be in for him. I'm sure there was, but in terms of publicly, no one else seemed to be pushing too hard for him, and I think that's a big part because of the fee. Again, he will improve United, but that's a huge part of your budget if you're not going to get people out, which they've struggled to do. Maybe they're going to be confident to do that, but it's a good sign-in. It improves the team. Does it work with what really needs done all summer? I mean, it's too early to say, right? They might get a hell of a lot of people out still, and generate a lot of money and still continue to kind of, improve the squad. But I'm not too sure just with the price tag on that, if it works and benefits them in terms of getting out and in, because he's going to want a lot out and a lot more players in. But let's see. Just on Cunha stats, 33 games, 15 goals and 6 assists in the league, 2 assists in the FA, 2 goals in the FA Cup, should I say. So a total of 36 games, 17 goals, 6 assists. Yeah, that's decent numbers. He's just turned 26, so he's kind of like peak age and prime age. Let's again just see what Cunha got last season. I'd just like to see a bit of consistency, or if there's kind of any anomalies. So he plays 32 games, he gets 12 goals and 7 assists in total, in the FA Cup as well. So it's 14 goals and 8 assists. So yeah, he's in and around the same number the last 2 seasons. So there's a little bit of consistency there. And obviously he's playing for a team, Wolves, that are lower down the league, but then not try and get a dig in so United at the moment. I think he suits the system absolutely, but let's see. It just seems like a lot of money. And the kind of thing that feeds into that is their interest as well in Mbuemo, who again, I've said in a few videos this season, I think is underrated. He doesn't get talked about. I think the likes of like Cole Palmer gets a lot more kind of limelight on him, and Palmer's amazing as well. I'm not saying Mbuemo's quite in that bracket, but he's definitely not far from it. If Liverpool were interested in him, I would be intrigued, but again, he seems to play off the right, so wouldn't be going in for him. He's going to turn 26 in August, and again, had a hell of a season this season, 38 games, 20 goals, 8 assists in the league. He gets 1 assist in the cup, so a total of 20 goals and 9 assists in 42 games. 20 goals is huge in the Premier League, absolutely massive. You can't knock that. Again, it's 50, upwards of 50 plus million it's looking like. So between him and Cunha, you're spending, almost kind of like 120 million on those 2 players. You could say my team are spending, that on 1 player and Florian Wirtz, just don't need as much work done. But yeah, I like him. It just seems a lot. There's all that talk on TalkSport about his wages being about 250k a week as well. It's just, says he wants to go to United over other Premier League clubs. I mean, yeah, I don't think anyone else is offering Mbuemo 250k a week, to be honest with you. So, and I've said this to my mates at United fans, like, yeah, you've got the name still there as a pool, and you can still get players in, but like a big part of that is because you still do chuck massive wages there. And let's be honest, people are going to take that as well as thinking that they can make Man United better, don't get me wrong. So I don't know on those 2 if it makes sense again for the overall summer and what needs done to the squad, if they can get money back from players that they sell to keep investing, because I think you'll want a few more. Let's just see last season, and Mbuemo plays 25 games, gets 9 goals and 7 assists, nothing in the cup. So yeah, that's pretty low. That's low. That's 1 season he's got 20 goals and he's been phenomenal. I didn't know that. I thought his numbers would have been a bit better last season. So people can have kind of just erratic seasons and do really well. Again, as much as I do like him, as my mate Ali said, like, he's going to play with wing backs, and Mbuemo likes to kind of hug the touchline and be out wide right. So how does that fit into the system? It's not quite as clear as the Cunha one, but all in all, it is a good player. I just don't know if that's going to be another one of those that just doesn't quite fit, and that happens. And it's said a lot, in that Ian Graham book, that sometimes you buy these guys and it's just not fit. It's a lot of talk of that in the kind of Brendan Rodgers era. So, yeah. In terms of outs for United, you've got Sancho and you've got Rashford back. So, can bridges be built there to keep them in? Will they both want to stay? The club will want decent fees for them, but again, on high wages. And if you don't, you're back in the position of you've got 2 guys there that are big names, big characters, be, friends of the squad, and it's just going to be could be a bit of a disaster, but there's money there. I think Antony was only on loan, right? I've not double checked that, but if he is, he's coming back, and then you've got to try and sell him as well. I mean, he's made it clear that obviously he doesn't fancy them. So, yeah, that might be where they're going to get that money back in, and that they're spending on, these guys like Cunha and Mbuemo. And then just lastly on United, obviously there was that whole talk from Bruno and kind of the Saudi bids, and, he's 31, so a lot of money for him would be wise to take. But again, the situation at the club, he's by far the best player. He's really stepped up this season. He's dragged them through it. Do you want to sell him? Bruno's kind of stuck. He's kind of gone to Man United, and, we know how United have been. And in his prime, he has not been at a club that's been at the absolute highest level. And Bruno Fernandes, with his ability, should absolutely be playing at the highest level and winning league titles and challenging for Champions League trophies. So, again, it's timing. He's not gone there at the right time. He's a bit stuck in the middle. I feel like United will be stuck because that money would have been huge, but at the same time, do we want to sell our best player? Because we're trying to improve the squad, so you kind of want to keep him. So I think overall you've got to keep Bruno. I think you just cut your losses on it and you just say, look, we're riding it out with you for the next couple of years. You're a big part of the squad. We look to build it not around you because you're old, but you're a main player as we start to integrate and change through Amorim. So I think they're gonna have to keep him. I do. Next one we'll go for, as I just have another sip, will be Chelsea and Liam Delap. They've obviously signed him for what I think it was about 50 million. I don't pay like huge amounts of attention to the fees all the time. They do play a part, but it's not like massive. I like thinking of what the players like and from what I see him playing. I've seen a bit of Ipswich, obviously match of the day and games that they were on and stuff in the telly, but not enough to say I would fully know how he looks to play. That would be something I'll look into a bit more. But, this season he plays 37 games in the Prem. He gets 12 goals and 2 assists. So he hits double figures in his first season in the Premier League, playing for one of the teams right at the bottom. He's going to be the main man that everything's going to be going through. I'll be really intrigued to see if he's the main 9 or if they're, him and Jackson are going to kind of go after it. Maybe they're going to play 2 up top. I don't know. He's only 22, just turned 22 in Feb, so he is young. So there's potential there. Again, it's just a lot of money on someone that I don't know if you need to spend that much money on him. I guess they don't like Jackson. I don't think they fancy Jackson fully, to be honest. He's not quite done it, is he? So maybe it'll work out for them. I'm just not too sure on that. What does Delap get? I know it's the Championship last season, but what does Delap get in the Championship? So he plays 31 games in the Championship and only gets 8 goals and 2 assists. Wow. I thought he would have been 15 plus goals in the Championship. This is why it's quite cool doing these videos. This is the first time I kind of look at these stats so you can kind of get the reaction. I didn't know that. Wow, that's a lot of money on him. That's a lot of money on him. I remember when United were in for him, I was telling my pals, like, I'd stay clear of that. I don't think it's worth the money. Let's see. That's really, really low goals. So that's where they've gone with it. We'll see how that transpires in pre-season with how they play, and ultimately it'll talk if he gets the goals, and then that's all that matters. Wanted to go into City. They obviously lost a lot of their energy last season. They lost Rodri defensively. I thought City, Haaland still gets the goals, but I just thought City, bar Haaland, lacked any real threat, and it was like, well, we'll just shut down Haaland because that's fine. Whereas beforehand, you had the guys on the wing as well, and it was like, who the hell do we shut down here? How the fuck do we kind of stop this? And it was really difficult. So they're in for that Reijnders from Milan, or should I say, if they actually bought him? I don't know, but it looks like that he's kind of going there. 26 years old. He will be turning 27 at the end of July, so he's getting up there a wee bit, but he's in his peak. I had a little look at kind of a central midfielder from what I've been seeing and reading. He kind of does a lot. Last season in Serie A, he plays 37 games. He gets 10 goals and 5 assists, which is good. Again, I think City need to add more in those areas. So if he's kind of going to be one of those attacking midfielders and freshen things up, the kind of like new types of Bernardo Silvas and guys like that in a different way. But, those guys, that's decent. In total, in all competitions, he gets 15 goals and 5 assists. So he's got some goals in him there. Like I say, what does he get? I'm going to play a little video from a YouTube channel on him that I've not watched yet, just to see what kind of type of midfielder he is. We can watch it together. We'll see what happens with the copyright. I'm just trying to load up his stats from last season. What does he get last season? So he plays 36 games, 3 goals, 4 assists. But I'm assuming by what we're going to watch in this video, he's going to have energy and he's going to be good at getting the ball back. and playing it forward. So let's have a little look at this video again. I'm not too sure if this part will work. Might have to cut it out. Don't know what the copyright stuff is, but just shout out to Brazil Scout who's put this video up. I'll put his page in the links and everything so you can check this out. But let's have a little look at what this Reijnders looks like in this video. So obviously got similar players, McAllister, Vitinha, okay. So that kind of guy, 26. Weakness, aerial duels, best attributes, passing, tackling, acceleration, basically everything. There's this kind of appearances and goals and assists that we just went through. Just for everyone that's watching, just listening, sorry, I'm just letting you know what the video's looking like. It's just showing us his appearance and his goals and stuff like that. Alright, we get into the video now of what he actually looks like. Pep's not going to be dumb, we don't think, but you know, the last kind of influx of players that City have brought in hasn't been great, has it? Let's see what this guy looks like. Let's see what it looks like. Obviously, just YouTube highlights, they're the classic kind of fan thing to do, but playing it forwards as well, so he's got that in his locker. He's a big boy, that's one thing, he is a big boy. Now playing it forwards again over the top, that's a bit of an awkward pass. Yeah, he likes to look to play forwards. That's certainly one thing that you can see. Oh, he's tidy for how big he is, yeah. He's a big boy that's really, really good with the ball at his feet. Yeah, he looks to go forwards quickly, which will be good for Haaland. Just for those of you that are listening, there's a lot of balls kind of in behind. Oof, he just absolutely smashed the free kick for miles out in the top bins. Interesting. It's a good ball from deep as well. Okay, so he's definitely... I get that. From those videos, I get that. If they've got Haaland up top, like I say, trying to feed him and get a bit more creativity into him. He looks like a big boy, so he's going to have the strength and the power for the Premier League. See if he can get about the pitch, if he's decent defensively. Again, he was kind of related to Vitinha and McAllister in that video, so I get it, just with a bit more size. Interesting, definitely does make sense there. Who else? What about City? I'll rattle through this. Grealish obviously looks like he's leaving. It's not really worked out for him there. I'm not going to dive into it too much. We know they've lost Kevin De Bruyne. They're linked with Gibbs White, obviously, as well. They are linked with that Ryan Scherke. Looks like they're kind of going in for him. I did get his stats up as well. He's young. He's going to be 22 in August. 30 games last season in Ligue 1. He gets 8 goals and 11 assists. In total for last season, he scores 12 goals and 20 assists. So I think, again, a part about adding something to the game where teams can't just focus on Haaland, and it's back to, you know, all these guys are able to contribute in there for City. Because Rodri will come back and it'll solidify them, no problem. And these guys are obviously young, so they'll add energy and hunger to the team. And it looks like, just before recording this, that everything's kind of signed, sealed and delivered pretty much for them to get Antony from Wolves for 40 million. Again, Antony's young. I do like him. I'm kind of glad Liverpool are going for Kerkez over him. But it's a good signing. He'll be an attacking left back, and I think along with Nico O'Reilly, who looks like he's been decent there at the end of the season, he's got 2 folk for that position, and again kind of rejuvenates it with a bit of pace and a bit of youth there. So that's kind of it on all the transfer stuff. Last couple of things just to go over, just other kind of talking points. Russell Martin's just gone to Rangers. Really intrigued to see. First reaction is he's going to just look to have a style of football and play. I don't know if that's enough for Rangers to catch Celtic. I don't know. I think there needs to be a little bit more than that. But let's see. Time will tell. I'm a big fan of giving managers time. I like to see when they come in and implement their ideas. How do they get it across? What they look to do? How most importantly, do they adapt? So we'll see how that goes with it. Ten Hag's gone to Leverkusen. Watch this, I bet he wins the Bundesliga after that time at United. But again, that'll be an intriguing one to see how he does there after the whole Man United saga. We know Xabi Alonso's gone to Real Madrid. We've seen what he's done at Leverkusen. So I'm intrigued to see how he does in that hostile atmosphere at Madrid, which you'll know as a player. You know, he's got Trent, he's got Dean Huijsen, and Madrid have got the squad that they've got, so that'll be massive. Last but not least, I think I'm going to do a separate video on this guy, but Cesc Fabregas seems to be real hot property, certainly for Inter Milan, but a lot of clubs that are talking to him. I've watched a lot of stuff of Fabregas this season on YouTube and everything, talking about the game. Really intriguing guy. You know, talks a lot about how he's almost bored a little bit of where the game's gone, as much as he respects that kind of Pep Guardiola style. He's obviously Barcelona, he gets it. But, he's a bit bored of it, and he's hoping to kind of, the game goes back to a direction of a bit more freedom and excitement and not having to tell players what to do all the time. And I like the sound of that. I had a little look. Como come 10th. It's their first ever season in the Serie A, so he gets them in their top half. So he's doing things there. Let's see if he stays there. I'm gonna probably have a little further look into Fabregas, maybe do a separate video and have a look at him, because that's the kind of next generation of managers that are coming through. These players that grew up watching that are now getting into the game, and it's really, really cool. So quite a long one this, quite a deep one this, but it's a good bit of content there to kind of hold it over. Again, I'm not going to do this all the time, like reacting to necessarily transfers and stuff. There'll be shorter form videos, but over periods of time and when it feels right, I'll get together and I'll look a little bit more at this stuff as the kind of transfers go on. And for those that are watching, little Retrospekt apparel tee from my boy Callum at Retrospekt. It's a sweet tee. You should go check him out. I'll link his stuff in the bio and everything like that as well on the YouTube video and Spotify. I'm going to shut up now. Hope you enjoy my rambling and my rant on the summer transfer so far. Have a good one, and until the next one, peace.